What's good, Zelda crew? D-Rock here, and with Breath of the Wild being as big of a hit as it was, the game brought in a ton of new fans that never even thought about picking up a Zelda game prior to its launch, which, as a longtime fan of these Zelda games, is truly heartbreaking, I must say. Because of this scenario, though, a lot of you newcomers still get the most basic things wrong about the Zelda series, and in this video, I'm gonna fix that for you. Make sure you watch the entire video all the way until the end so you don't miss one of the biggest things you are more than likely getting wrong about the Zelda franchise. One of the most popular theories about The Legend of Zelda is that the hero Link is always left-handed because his creator, Miyamoto, is left-handed, a rarity in Japan. So am I, by the way, if you were wondering. While this is true in many Zelda titles, it is not true for all the games. In the Wii and Wii U titles Skyward Sword and Twilight Princess, Link is right-handed because the control setup of the Wii remote is right-handed by design. Switch re-releases of the same game make him left-handed once again. According to Miyamoto, Link is intended to be left-handed when played in the Switch versions of these titles and right-handed when played in the earlier versions. It's pretty interesting, huh? I think because one of the most iconic appearances of Link's character is Ocarina of Time, which involves time warping back and forth between Link's childhood and adulthood, new fans of The Legend of Zelda often assume that Link is an adult in most of the games. This couldn't be further from the truth. Let me explain. According to the designer of the Zelda games, Miyamoto, Link, as a, quote, adult, is still an adolescent, the Hylian equivalent of ages 15 to 17. Japanese video games often put the responsibility of saving the world on the shoulders of characters who are the equivalent of the expected audience, and Link is appropriately a teenager. Man, saving the world as a teenager. Good luck, Link. While the series has been around for 35 years, it is not totally unheard of for newcomers to assume that the name and the title of Zelda is the hero of the series. In fact, Zelda crew, the true hero is Link. While this is known, for the most part, Zelda is the princess whom the hero rescues. I mean, I literally just had to explain this to my wife the other day. If you would see me right now, you'd see me shaking my head. It's ridiculous. This is a pretty common misconception though, but I will admit over time, this has gotten way better over the years. I mean, people just kind of do it on purpose now, I think, just to get under my skin. For the most part, I think Link is known as the god of Nintendo's heroes. To add to this point and sort of to the confusion of who is actually the hero 99% of the time, Zelda herself has blurred the line on multiple occasions between hero and damsel herself, both in the short-lived 1980s cartoon series and later appearing in disguise as the hero Sheik starting in Ocarina of Time. It's an amazing game. So I guess I understand that some people are still getting this wrong. Sort of. Famous for his golden hair in the Super Nintendo and Nintendo 64 installments of the series and their re-releases, right? Link has not always been the literal golden-haired boy of the Legend of Zelda series. Instead, his hair tone has varied from brown in the original NES editions of the series to golden blonde in the SNES and Nintendo 64 games. In GameCube's Wind Waker, one of the best Zelda games by the way, Link is again a cartoony golden blonde. Finally, in the Wii era, his hair changes to a golden brown, a hue between true blonde and true brown. This is hardly the absolute preference for the golden blonde expressed by a lot of the Zelda community, but still a blonde of a sort, right? My personal opinion, Link, my guy, your hair can be whatever color you want it to be. It's totally fine with me. And by the way, I create Zelda content like this every week, so if you're enjoying the video so far, remember to subscribe and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any awesome Zelda content. I appreciate you. Despite the belief of most fans of the Zelda series, Link and Zelda are one of the most popular couples in video games. However, with clear romantic tension between the two, especially as Link is often tasked with rescuing Zelda from Ganondorf, they surprisingly never get together in the actual games. Although there's a ton of hints, I mean, let's just be honest. Biggest one that pops out to me is the relationship of Link and Zelda in Skyward Sword. Come on, man. There's no way you can't see the love that they have for each other in this game. It's so obvious. We, the Zelda fans, have written countless fan factions based on a romantic pairing of the two. However, very little textual evidence supports the idea that they would ever actually hook up in the games. But you know, us Zelda fans being Zelda fans, it's never really slowed down the fan fiction side of things, right? So please don't stop doing stuff now. Despite The Legend of Zelda's cuddly, cute, kid-friendly, cartoony graphics, how about that description? The Zelda series has hardly ever moved away from endangering both protagonists and innocent bystanders. Let me explain, Zelda crew. Besides the villain Ganon kidnapping princesses and often imprisoning them in crystals or outright just slaughtering them, Link himself can be exposed to some serious dangers across the entire franchise. The nightmarish aspects of the Zelda series go way back to Ocarina of Time for me personally. I mean, do you not remember the bottom of the well or the Shadow Temple as a whole? Oh boy, it's giving me the heebie-jeebies just thinking about it. Or what about the scene in Twilight Princess when Link becomes possessed by the power of the fused shadows? If that doesn't showcase extremely dark themes, then go ahead and play Majora's Mask for me. Then drop a comment below and let me know what you feel about that. You'll see what I mean. Although Zelda is not the protagonist of the series that carries her name, which we talked about before a little bit, and in many games must be rescued, let's be honest, she is way more of a helpless damsel in distress than a lot of the new Zelda fans believe. First appearing in a more assertive role in the 1989 Legend of Zelda cartoon in North America, Zelda has been a protagonist in more games as time has gone by. A staple character in the Hyrule Warriors sub-series and Super Smash Bros. I mean, come on, she's one of the best characters on there. Zelda is a dangerous combatant who is every bit Link's equal when she's allowed to be. An example here is the Hyrule Warriors incarnation of Zelda as a dangerous warrior with her magic abilities alone. Zelda crew, who knows? Maybe in Tears of the Kingdom, Zelda herself will be able to show her true abilities on the big screen once again. The main villain of the Zelda franchise, while not the only one, Ganon and Ganondorf are almost, not quite, but almost the same person, with Ganon being a more beast form and monstrous version of the character, while Ganondorf is a man who eventually is defined as the Gerudo Man, the King of Evil, are two sides of the same coin. Ganondorf, as a villain, appears in almost every game of the series. The notable exception here is Majora's Mask, the second Nintendo 64 incarnation of the Zelda series. This game holds a special place in my heart, Zelda crew, with Majora's Mask changing many of the accepted set pieces of the franchise. It was a very good choice to change things up in that regard and have a different villain from the same old Ganon. You know what I mean if you're a longtime fan of the series. Now, even if you're a newcomer to the Zelda franchise or even a veteran like your boy D-Rock here, the Triforce is one of the most iconic parts of the Zelda series as it's effectively the logo for the franchise. I mean, there's fans of the Zelda series that have tattoos all over them. There are the Triforce and all that stuff. It's super cool. That makes sense, right? Yet despite this, it doesn't appear in every single Zelda game. While the Triforce is referenced in Ocarina of Time, it never actually appears in Ocarina of Time. A lot of the NPCs in Ocarina of Time talk about it in their stories they tell Link in order to catch him up on what's going on. This is a noteworthy change from every other Zelda game in the franchise. While the Zelda series uses its set pieces effectively, this is one that almost, but not quite, always shows up. Real quick, Zelda crew, name a Zelda game that doesn't reference the Triforce. Drop a comment. Do it. Go. The Zelda fandom has consistently tried to devise a real-world rationale for the twisted Zelda timeline. Yep, you know where this is going. This has happened ever since it was announced that the third game, A Link to the Past for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, would take place several hundred years before the original Legend of Zelda. The truth is, the timeline has no plan. The writers simply place the games wherever they feel like and let us, the Zelda fandom, figure out the reasons for it later. This is totally cool to me and extremely aggravating at the same time because I'm the type of Zelda fan where I like to play the game in chronological order sometimes. So it is kind of hard to do this though with the Zelda series. Other than Skyward Sword being chronologically the first game in the Zelda series for now, the timeline to me makes no sense. And look, if you're watching this video, there's a really good chance that you are very interested in the Legend of Zelda series. Whether Breath of the Wild was the first Zelda game that tugged on your heartstrings, or you're like me, and you've been a fan of the franchise since before you could walk. Regardless of what boat you're in, make sure you click on this video next as it's going to go over in depth one of the biggest points we talked about in today's video. You're not going to want to miss it. Much love, Zelda crew. Be the light, and remember that it's dangerous to go alone. So go ahead and click this Zelda video now. I'll talk to you over there.